Hey there, welcome back to another raw sculpting video, and this time I'm actually going to sculpt without a reference or concept, just because I think it was kind of unfair last time to call it a no reference, okay, no reference sculpt and use references. Well, I guess I call it a no concept one, but does it really matter? So similarly to the last video, I am just going to sculpt a generic head with a few ideas in the head, I guess. Um, I actually don't know. I just got done recording a part of a new course I'm working on for Udemy of a full body sculpt of Omni-Man, and it's turning out pretty good. There's a few things that I don't fully like, but it's better than my first one. And I can't really think while sculpting, oh my god. So you are going to have to deal with my raw train of thought as I do this. I unfortunately do not have coffee, which I prefer to have while sculpting. Coffee and water are like I was gonna say non-negotiables, but I have none of them right now. But I prefer to have something to sip on, be it coffee, sometimes I'll do tea, and water also, but I forgot. I usually just have a big shaker of water here, and it goes pretty hard. But unfortunately, I forgot to do that, but I've already had, I would guess, like 4 or 5 liters, and it's halfway throughout the day. But still, water like keeps me hydrated and full. I think I've lost control of a lot of sculpting right now. But seeing other people talk while sculpting feels like it's very easy, I guess. But I keep losing my train of thought. I'm going too low. I keep forgetting what I was speaking. Things of that nature. Now, as we smooth here, let's make the jaw more prominent. Traps. I guess some things to keep in mind while you are sculpting the head is that the more time you spend in the early stages of this like low quality stage, the less changes you'll have to make in the upcoming stages, and it's quite harder to change the some characteristics when you have more polygons to work with. It looks weirder and it really sticks out, especially when I make like leg sculpts. If I don't get the correct shape at the start, I notice that the whole thing just doesn't flow right. So make sure you spend some time, a decent amount of time, at the start. And honestly, I do prefer sculpting without a base mesh, just starting from a super simple shape like a sphere. And I think that's the more fun part. If I sculpt super high poly, or I sculpt in the later stages of the sculpt, I just kind of get bored. Now I do think I'm going through too fast. There's a lot of things which I don't like. Let's pull this down. I can shrink the shit out of this. Okay, I don't know if I can swear, but it is a bit too big. It really doesn't matter. Let's carve out the eyes here. Now I like to pull this back. A lot of my problems with the faces I do is they usually do stick out a lot to the side. But I've been just, I guess carving the eyes is the point that of reference of how far I've gone. So I pull back if I need to. This head is definitely a bit too wide. I like to have these flat out. I'll smooth them. When I'm recording the courses, sometimes I just like don't know how to describe things, so I'm just going over what I'm doing, and I don't think that's the greatest practice. I think I should explain something. Not, well, I guess I do explain something, but I should say what I'm doing first and then do it. But that kinda ruins sculpting and the teaching. But I'm trying to get used to just telling a reason why, telling the explanation, explaining why I am doing something while I do it. Sometimes my words do get just mangled everywhere. Let's make these mouth lines closer. So if you have any suggestions, please tell me, as I'm just still raw dogging, explaining, I guess. Let's pull out this. Also, while recording, the power went out like twice, and it's probably the only episode that I had to re-record a bunch of times, and also stop in between the video. But it just got me out of the thing a bit, of the flow, I guess. Didn't really mess anything up. Now let's pull this mouth here, pull out the jaw muscles a bit, tuck it in. Okay, let's pull this out a bit more. So let's pull the nose in. I'm only gonna do this at another level of detail, so I'm gonna try to get most of the shit done. I'm not really excited to swear, I just keep losing what I want to say. But I'm trying to get most of these shapes correct, pull what I need to pull, and then on the next stage we just work on the details. I like to smooth the ears here, then pull lightly down, pull more up, just make them stick out like this at the start, so when we do go in the higher quality zones, they don't just stick to the mesh. So let's also pull this in. Okay, I should leave it out like here, though it does look kind of weird. I also like to pull this eyebrow line here, and then make the forehead very flat. And possibly shorter, like this. Then as it goes back, it rounds, something like this. I think we can pull the whole neck a bit lower, perhaps a bit lower. This can go out a bit. And now the proportions are getting kind of weird. I think I still prefer sculpting with just at least a reference. A skull works fine. And I don't think that sculpting with a reference is cheating. Like, you're trying to achieve the best result and you're not really, like, it's different from just copying it. And even if you are just copying it, you are still not copying it because you're doing it in 3D. Like, it's different for drawing. I don't like the mouth area, where even in drawing you can't really achieve the same effects, but it is different when you stencil over something and use reference. So even in drawing, I think you should use references. I don't know why there's a notion that you are cheating. But yeah, maybe drawing over things is almost cheating. Yeah, that's cheating. But in sculpting, if you just put references as of in the Blender file and then you sculpt over it, I wouldn't call that cheating, but it's getting close. But even then, you are trying to achieve the best result. But my preferred method is using a reference on another tab, be it of the concept, these eyes are too big, be it of the concept or of something related to the concept. Let's say I want to sculpt a head, having some other anatomy lesson heads, or the skull helps. I guess the skull doesn't help as much as a fleshed out head. Okay, there's a lot of things wrong with it, but we move on. This can be tucked in. Let's go to the last layer of detail. 300. And I don't forget to symmetrize. Let's pull out the neck here a bit. And I've been just smoothing like this. Honestly, it looks kind of nice. It should go deeper, the traps should go up. Smooth out. Connect the head. I think my default is just to talk like what I'm doing. Just because I kind of run out of thoughts. But yeah, when you are sculpting the head, make sure you don't just make the head, but you make the neck and the traps, at least the starter area. You will probably get a better idea of what your sculpt is missing, but you'll also make the head look more realistic. And you don't even have to detail that much, even just not a line, but a simple neck works. Well, this is an awful lot of sculpt. I'm also weirded out by this area of the nose. Like, it's not exactly not there, but I don't know how it behaves a lot of times. So it's a very lucky thing if I get it correctly, or if it's a more cartoon-like character, I guess it's not that hard. Let's sharpen this area, this, and I think I'm just gonna put some eyes in there. Now this is when I like to flesh out the ears. And I should spend time in the ears, but I'm just trying to do this fast. But a lot of people, I think, just don't spend enough time individually in certain parts, and they just don't look like they belong there. So do spend time on each individual part, but also on how it correlates to the whole sculpt. And again, if sometimes you feel like that certain part isn't working too well or not getting the correct shape, you can just grab a sphere and only do that shape, and that's pretty good practice. And then you can slowly see how it incorporates with the other parts. Just pull this down, round it up, and there's a hole here. That's not the worst gears I've made. Definitely not good. Let's make them a bit more round. Tuck them in. Put this in as well. Smooth this area. My cheekbones have been getting better, but they're still definitely weird. Also, I like to make this area very straight like this, but I swear in my sculpts it just moves. Like, I know it's not moving, but always seems like it goes back to not being there. This nose might be a bit too small. And again, this area sucks. Let's pull this down, pull this up, round the nostrils a bit. Definitely not the worst speed sculpt I've done, but nothing to really brag about. Widen the nose. I also do suffer in widening the nose. Like, sometimes I don't think the nose can hold itself. Sometimes it's way too wide. And it should have different widths here and there, not just a width. I'll dig this in. I'll make these pseudo eyeballs. Get the fat pads in like this. My fat pads have also been getting better, to be honest. But I should be spending more time either way. Let's pull this in and carve out a simple mouth. So something like this, M shape, and then I've noticed here it gets quite close down to what I used to do. Roll this back, this up. Okay, my mouse is tweaking once again. Pull this way back. This like this. Okay, that mouth is definitely too small and weird. I really don't know how to define this mouth area in the earlier sections, but my mouths have been getting better. What? My chins have always suffered. They still do. And this whole jawline area is weird. Let's pull this out. I'm not gonna do the eyes because I know it will look horrible. So we'll make him closing his eyes or sleeping or something. I guess closing your eyes, or sleeping is closing your eyes. Let's tuck this down, smooth this out. Let's add some more mass here, then on top as well. Let's pull them out as well. Pull these in. This looks horrible. Too big of a head. Smooth the sides. Definitely not the worst thing I've done, but I guess that's saying something. Okay, I don't even want to go on to the next level. Smooth these out. And holy. I mean, again, not the worst. It's a human head. If you have any suggestions on what my vids should be about, feel free to leave them below, as I'm just having a random idea and sculpting something, and both of those have to develop each other, so then both of those end up being everywhere. So until I figure something out, it's just gonna be experimental stuff. But I hope you like this yapping and tips for your heads. Make sure to do the stuff that YouTubers tell you to do, or not, but I do want some ideas on what would be useful, I guess. So thank you for watching, and possibly see you into the next one.